Okay.
Okay, we're live. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
What if we did the whole thing like that?
Okay.
It's like, okay.
Welcome to the Good Girls Book Club. I'm RJ, even though you already know that.
I am Riley. Are we
Welcome.
introducing ourselves? We've never done that before.
Why not? Just to keep things fun and flirty.
We usually just start talking.
Yeah, we should just start talking. So before we get
Hi,
started,
Lexi.
oh, I don't have any comments. Just so everybody knows, our Wi-Fi situation is a little wonky. So we'll see how much of this we can get through. Hopefully we can get through the whole 30 minutes. If not, we'll try again.
I look like Casper's ghost.
But a
Why
very
am I so
sexy
pale?
Casper.
I'm so fucking pale. Every time I think that I've got a little bit of sun. Then I go on this and it just humbles me.
Yeah, you don't really do that. You don't really get sun. I remember when we used to go out and like go to the pool or something, and then it was like sun and like white burn.
Remember when we went to Laguna and I got the worst sunburn all over my legs,
Mhm.
even though I was
Mhm.
religiously applying sunscreen the whole time?
Mhm. And you were telling me to use
Anyway,
sunscreen,
sorry.
and I was like, I really don't need to. And then you learned that I really don't need to.
Well, you should.
No, and I've started. I've since
Okay,
started
good.
using sunscreen
It's
because
like still a skin cancer concern, even if you're not getting burned.
yeah, it's like a health thing for
Yeah,
sure.
just a little bit. Just a little.
And I just want to stay looking young and youthful.
I think that you'll be fine. I've seen your grandma.
Yeah.
Anyway.
A lot of people ask me if she's my mother. Anywho, let's pick a new book.
Same.
And then we can get into this, whatever this was. Whatever that was.
Stick my fat hand. Okay, tell me when.
When? I'm going to turn you up again. Yeah.
Uh-oh. I don't think you've read this, and I know I have not read this.
What is it?
American Queen. You read this?
I have it. I have not read it.
I have it too. American Queen by Sierra Simone.
Do you remember Sinner? That's that same author.
Oh, great. Excellent. I can't wait.
You're gonna love it.
I know there's a reverse harem situation. Harem.
I don't think I realized
Hiram
that.
Lodge. Hiram Lodge, Riverdale. Should we talk about Riverdale?
Genuinely have a problem. Excited, I need to buy it. Yeah, I've always wanted to read it, and I think I just like forget about it. But I do like that author because the smut is high quality, so I'm excited.
Okay, good. Can't wait.
In case you were all wondering, Riley has started a Riverdale rewatch, and she has a genuine problem. I get text updates probably.
I've been texting RJ hourly. I've probably sent you 800 texts.
Well, we watched it together when it came out in college, but I really didn't watch. Yeah. I think I only watched the first like 2. I think I made it pretty far. I mean, I made it like 3 seasons, I think.
We did the first 2 seasons.
Yeah. And then I watched the third one later on, and that was enough for me.
Yeah, I'm on season 3 right now, and I hope I can make it past the Griffins and Gargoyles, because that's what we are. That's where we're at.
I don't know what that is, and I think I'm okay with that. Once they brought Lucas Scott on from One Tree Hill and made him an evil cult leader, I tapped out.
That's after Griffins and Gargoyles. Also, Chad Michael Mudface can go to hell.
Yeah, I've heard he's not a very good person.
No, he cheated on what's her name?
Sophia Bush. Yeah, but I mean that was like 2 decades ago.
Okay, I know, but I think he's cheated on other women too.
This is totally off base, but every time she talks about it in an interview, but she never says anything bad, right? She's just like, when we were kids, him and his wife literally are like, she can't let it go, blah blah, and they harass her afterwards. I'm like, well, you cheated. Let's calm down a little bit. You don't get to be mad when somebody talks about you cheating.
Yeah, you did the crime.
They weren't even together for like.
It's like when people get mad when they're like. It's like when people are mad, they're like, why are you mad that I hurt your feelings?
Right.
You're making me seem like a bad guy.
Because you are the bad guy.
You hurt my feelings. Yeah.
And then she had to continue to work with him after that. So I can imagine that would be pretty traumatic. Anywho, not relevant.
Anyways, this is neither here nor there.
No.
None of this is important.
So let's talk about this. I'll do the synopsis. A young woman whose name I've already forgotten moves into her father's love shack that he had with his mistress.
Forgot her name. It's a very specific name.
I don't. I don't remember. They always
It's
ask.
January.
It's just like answering the question. January. Okay. Yes, they do constantly. Every interview
It's
she's in, they ask
January.
her. January moves into her father's love shack that he had with a woman who was not her mother, and she's an author, and the love shack just happens to be right next door to her rival from college, named Gus.
Yeah. Augustus, correct.
She calls him Gus,
Augustus
and
Gloop.
so I'm gonna call
Yeah.
him Gus because
That's fine.
it's truly heinous. Like
Okay,
imagine
great.
just being in the throes and be like, yes, Gus, like, yeah.
Augustus.
And then then they use Everett, and I was like, why don't we just call him Everett? That's much better.
You got 2 first names. Trip Talladega Nights. Anyways.
Anyway, let's talk about. I want to talk about the characters first.
I would like you to just lead this discussion because we know that you hate Emily Henry, and I'm just going to chime in here and there.
Yeah, so
Because we know that I love Emily Henry.
it's not okay. So everybody and their mom knows that People We Met on Vacation was one of my worst reads that I've ever. It's extremely boring. It's not that the writing.
I haven't even read that one.
Well, it's the writing style is fine, and I'll admit that Emily Henry has a wonderful writing style. I find her plots and her stories overall to be pretty boring. People We Met on Vacation was much more boring than this. So I think that what I've learned is that I will not read another Emily Henry book after this.
But I think there's still one in this jar. What's going to happen? You're just going to opt out? You're going to abstain?
It's not boring. I loved it. I did not.
You didn't love it because it wasn't an orgy every other page.
No, it wasn't even that. I mean, I loved the stand-in, and there was never even sex in the stand-in.
Oh my god, that one was so good. That was
so
good. Remember how mad I was?
Yes, I remember how
they didn't have a sex scene.
And I think for me, it was just like there was more tension in that book for me, right? Like when I was just reading it, I just felt more excited and I felt more interested in what was going on. And in this book, even though there was tension between the two main characters, it wasn't enough for me to really care that much.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much give up their rivalry pretty early on in the
Very
book.
quickly and become really great friends very quickly.
Yeah. I just think he's so hot. I just think he's so hot.
I don't know why. I really thought that he was fine. Like, I was like, okay, there's nothing wrong with him except for it sounds like he was kind of a douche in college, which, I mean, you know.
I mean,
I was in many writing workshops in college, and it's pretty on par, so that's not surprising. But I think that he seemed like nice enough. I don't like this idea that like he had to constantly like because he wasn't constantly like nice to her, which it sounds like he was never really that rude to her, that she was like, he's my nemesis. I'm like, no, let's grow up a little bit.
I think it was just like she didn't realize like he was actually paying such close attention to her because he liked her rather than paying such close attention to her because he hated her. I think she didn't like figure that out.
No, and I don't think that he was as obvious as he thought that he was being. Well, they're adults now, so I understand they give up their teenage beef. Listen, I was happy that she gave up her teenage beef because she had a bigger grudge to worry about, which was her grudge with her father. So I actually liked that they gave up their beef. I think for me it was just when they give it up so early, it's like, okay, so I'm just reading.
So that's the real story, though. Isn't really her and Gus. It's her deal with her dad and her mom, pretty much, and her
absolutely.
Her writing her own book too, and like trying to come to terms with the fact that her dad wasn't who she thought he was, and after he's dead already, which is, you know, I'm sure something that is extremely difficult. I've never had to do that. Like realizing after he's gone, like she can't ask him any questions. She can't be like, "Hey, what the fuck?" I mean, obviously she finally reads the letter or whatever, but the letter that her dad left him. So, what did you think about?
Go ahead.
What did you think about the mistress being there at the funeral and then being like just showing up towards the end of the book?
I thought that it was inappropriate that she was at the funeral. I understand that you loved him and that you would want to go. But it sounds like she went and she um made herself known.
I mean, she's filled with secrets.
Yes,
Yeah.
she made herself known. And I don't think that that's an appropriate thing to do when his actual family is there trying to grieve, especially because when we get her kind of description of their relationship later on, she already knew way prior to his death that he had no intent, that he wasn't even really in love with her anymore, or that it wasn't really going anywhere.
It was so their whole thing was like they were high school sweethearts. They broke up, got back together, broke up. It's like that kind of situation. But
Yeah,
like,
and they're
I
tethered.
don't understand. Like she clearly, it's like a twin flame situation, like
Mhm.
on and off with each other. Even though he clearly was like on the off part when he died.
Yes, and like I said, I think it's like a human reaction to want to go, right? To be like, I loved this
Yeah.
man and I would like to mourn him, but the funeral is it's for the friends and family to mourn together in a shared space, and it's not appropriate for her to be there. And I
And
thought,
it's not even like she was just there quietly. She
no,
was there and she was like, I'm his fucking mistress.
that's what I mean. I said she made herself known, like she was reacting like a lover. As basically she said that her reaction mirrored her mother's reaction, and I just yeah, I really I don't know. The mistress was I didn't really like her, and part of it's because she's a mistress, knowing that he had a wife and kids, and they had all these stolen weekends and moments, and so
Yeah.
I already don't like her. But I think that what it really was is I was just like, you're really gonna go to the funeral, and you're really gonna you're gonna really like make yourself known when you know that she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like,
So like a thing with I didn't read People Read Meet on Vacations, but with Beach Read and Book Lovers, there's like a solid A plot of like the main character's family trauma. Because I
mhm,
think in Book Lovers it's her sister. Lexi, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in Book Lovers it's her and her sister. And in this one it's her and like obviously her parents.
right.
So
I need to remember if she had.
like the I know it's marketed as like a steamy like romance and there's definitely sex scenes in it. Like there's definitely romance in it, but I do think the main point is
Say it this way,
Lexi.
literally.
Yeah. I do think the main point is that like the family storylines for Emily Henry's books anyway. Yeah, her and her sister. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That's what
no,
I thought.
absolutely. And I found I found her working through her trauma with her dad to be the most interesting part of it, for sure. Um, I thought that she handled a lot of that much better than I absolutely would have. I would not have handled it
Yeah, me too.
well at all. And
Yeah.
running into the mistress out and about would have been quite a scene. I definitely wouldn't have just
Yeah.
abandoned my cart. I probably would have mowed her over with it. Um, but
Okay,
that's me.
so this is random, but how do you feel about the fact that she's 29, went to this, lake house, whatever, beach house to write her own book,
Hmm.
write another book,
Hmm.
and the only thing she really packed was Daisy Dukes. How do you feel about
I
that?
really found that really. I'm happy that I wasn't the only one that was like, "That's it."
What an odd thing to like include in that book. Like that
Daisy
she's just
Dukes
wearing Daisy Dukes.
and Daisy Dukes and T-shirts with celebrities on them. I found that to be super interesting,
Yes.
and it didn't. I don't
Yeah,
know. I didn't really give a shit. What I was like, okay,
I
it's it.
know. I
It
think
was
it's supposed to add something to her character, but I'm like, what are we adding? Like, I don't know. Personally, when I'm reading a book, I don't really care what they're wearing
no,
unless it's like
like a
a
ball
situation. Like, do
gown
you ever
or
read
like
this? Yes, yes.
yeah, unless
In
it's
the
like
selection books, they like talk about like ball gowns a lot.
yeah.
So like if it's a book series like that.
No, I agree with you. I really like the same way that I really don't care about like descriptions of rooms unless it's gonna
Oh yeah.
be important, or unless it's like a part of like a world building. Like if we're in an otherworldly place, then yeah, tell me what that looks like. But if we're just like, you know, in a living room, just tell me the style and I can imagine it for myself and we can move on. So I yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just I didn't I didn't dislike the main character, but I found that to be like I thought that we were trying to make her a little
Yeah.
quirky.
I think like what's their dislike though? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I thought that she, as emotionally unhealthy as she thought she was, I thought that she was actually very emotionally healthy and handling things very well, um, and just trying
Yeah.
her best. Out of the two,
Better
Gus
than we
is
would have.
absolutely. Out of the two, Gus was definitely the one that was struggling emotionally more. Um,
Yeah. So, do you want to touch on the fact that he is a divorcee and his ex-wife Naomi is like super hot?
yeah, I think for me, first of all, the ex-wife always has to be hot. Like she has to, because that's where the drama comes in. I think for me, I was weirded out by the fact that they had talked repeatedly about his lack of long-term relationships, and at no point did he mention that he was actually still currently married. And
Yeah.
that was purposeful. I don't, they really
Yeah.
glossed over it. She really forgave him as soon as he was like, oh, she left me. But I was like, no, he purposely left out that information. Like, because you,
Bit of a red flag,
yeah,
for
he was
sure.
bragging about dating women for like a month. Right. And
Yeah.
and maybe it was like, oh, he just couldn't talk about it yet. And I was like, I don't think that that's the case. Because the moment that she found out, he was like, I'll tell you anything you need to know.
Yeah. I think
Like,
his whole thing was like, um, he kept saying like, "Oh, I'm not someone's like forever. I'm just someone's like one night stand, or I'm just someone's, here and there." And I understand like because he is getting divorced, maybe he like still thinks that. Maybe he still thinks, "Oh, I'm not somebody's like long term." But
yeah.
he
Actually,
did get
marked that.
married.
Yeah. When he says, I'm the one they hook up with and drunk text and hang out with for a change
Yes.
of pace when they've gotten out of a 7-year relationship with doctors, and that's fine. That actually did make me cry. And to Lexi's point, I did think when she was talking about her fatal flaws, um, that made me a little bit emotional, especially because I was reading it. I was like, that's like a normal flaw, and it's very sad that you think that that's like going to be what does you in. um
Yeah.
yeah, and so it's, yeah, to your point, to say all these things and then just like really really be convinced that he's convinced himself that he is not the long-term guy, even when he
Like
tried
he's
to be.
unlovable. Yeah.
Yeah. And that I understand. And I think a lot of people do that. But for me, I was like, okay, it's one thing to think that you're unlovable. And it is another thing to when somebody repeatedly asks you or makes fun of you or whatever for not being able to have a long term relationship, not to mention the fact that you were married for 2 years. It was 2 years, right? But they were married for a
Yeah,
little
I
bit.
think so.
So yeah, I found that to be a little deceitful. I didn't really form that much of an opinion about Gus, honestly. Thought he was fine.
The only flag I have in here against Gus is when they're oh, Lexi said it's trauma because everyone always leaves him for quote unquote something better.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And I think that that's something that very real that people feel. And so yeah, I totally I just wish he'd just said it. Like I wish he just, when
Yeah.
she was asking all those questions, cuz to me it just comes off as deceitful, especially when he's always like, I want to know you and I want you to know me, and I wouldn't bring that up if I was embarrassed to
Lexi's
talk to you.
fighting. Lexi's fighting for him.
No, listen, I think that Lexi loves Gus, and that's
She's
great.
like, "Fuck you, RJ."
Yeah, no, I
um,
understand why he didn't want to bring that up, but I also think that it was deceitful not to.
yeah. The
I
one part I didn't like was him saying when they're like doing the 4th of July trip or whatever, and she's like, "Do you want me to go?" And he goes, "If you want." And she goes, "That's not
Oh,
what I asked you. I asked if you want me to go." And he said, "I want you to do whatever you want."
I wanted to throttle him. I wanted to throttle
Michael
him.
does this. My husband does this. I want to kill him. He's like, "Well, what do
Mhm.
you want?" I asked you for like, tell me what you want. Do you
You
want me to
invited
go with you
me.
to the store? Do you
Right.
want to go by yourself? Like,
Right.
tell me.
You invited me. You invited me.
Yes.
And so what she
And
was
so, like, tell me
asking,
you want me to go.
right, what she was very clearly asking is, have you rescinded your invite and you no longer want my
Yes.
presence? And he was like, I want you to do whatever you want to do. And it's like, oh my God, I want to kill you.
Why do
I'm just
men
like,
do that? Men always do that.
I don't know. I don't know.
Just
It's,
tell me. Do you want me to go or do you not want me to go? Like, he
yeah,
invited her.
yeah, I don't know. And why didn't he? Because then he was like, well, we were there. When he was there, he was like, well, it was just really hard. I just didn't want you to go. So why didn't you say that going into it? Say, I would love for you to go, but I just want you to be aware that like a lot of
That
people
I
died
might be
here.
a little off
Yeah,
tonight because it's a bit of a difficult night.
and a lot of people
That's
died
it.
here, and things might get a little
That's all you
weird.
have to say.
Just say that.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot to even ask you, how do you feel about all the cult stuff that he's writing about? Or cult whatever stuff that he's writing about.
It felt it
There's a
felt
lot of
weird.
like subplots.
Yeah, which it felt weird for the book. I'm not gonna lie. Like I thought it was super interesting.
Yeah, me too.
Like oh, I just hit the mic. I think it was super interesting, and I was like, I wish if we were gonna do it that we would have actually done more of it, right? But I did. Yeah, I found it weird, but I understood the point was to juxtapose who they are as writers, right? Which is like he's writes totally different stuff than she writes, but yet he has an immense respect for her as an author. He's never
Yeah.
shown it.
No.
But he
Oh
does.
God, no. God forbid. God forbid that he shows it. Are you kidding? God forbid a man gives an inch when a woman's giving a mile.
I thought it was so funny when he was like, "Oh, what did he say?" Where he was like, "My friend knows how I am with you, and I've always here it is."
Yes, yes. And she's like, what?
Right. And he was like,
What
and
are
she
you
was like,
talking about?
right. He was going on and on about how like even when I was talking to you, you wouldn't look at me, and I used to drop my books just to hang back, and I used to ask you for pens and blah blah blah. And then she was like, "Okay, but all I remember you was you tearing my stories apart."
Yes.
And he was like, "Cause I was an asshole." And it's like, yeah, but you can't blame her for not thinking that you like her, A, or B, respect her as a writer, because like even in the beginning when she was like, I was handing out my story and the first thing he said was another happy ending, but as it sounds like he's pretty aloof, so he doesn't realize that she was thinking that he was mocking her. And I think that most people would think that, especially if it's so opposed to
Yeah.
what he writes. Like I said, from my own experience in college workshop writing classes, there are people, especially those who write really dark stuff, who think that because they write really dark stuff they are above those who write the stories that a lot of
Yeah.
people
It's
gravitate towards.
yeah.
I thought you loved bully romances. I do love bully romances. This wasn't even that though. This wasn't even he wasn't even bullying her,
He's coming for your throat, bitch.
which is fine. I do love bully romances, and if this was a bully romance, I probably would have thought it was more interesting because there
It's
would have been
not.
more tension. All he was
Yeah,
just
it's
kind
not.
of aloof. All he was just kind of
Okay,
like,
but
"Can I
you
borrow a
didn't like
pen?"
them flicking against the bookshelf? Come on.
No, I did enjoy that. Obviously, I enjoyed that.
It was a good scene.
I obviously enjoyed
No, it
that,
was a
and I
good scene.
enjoyed her ribbing him about the condoms being on the bookshelf.
I know.
That was
He's
fun.
like, it's for when I'm on the way out. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I was
what?
All right, fine.
How often do you need to just grab and go?
That was my
Condom.
first thought, and I was so surprised that she wasn't like, "Wait, how
Wait.
often are you just like snagging a condom really quick on your way out the door?"
She's sex positive. She's like, it's
Yes.
okay. I like that you know what you're doing.
Yeah, because my first thought would have been like, pause.
Wait,
How
wait,
often
wait, wait, wait.
does we doing this?
This whole situation's been stopped.
Yeah, hold, please. That would have been a great time to then say, "Okay, I love my man. I'm going to defend." No, I'm
Yeah,
totally
you
fine.
defend him 100%.
Listen,
I
I'm
understand.
totally fine with it. I didn't dislike Gus. I just thought the fact that she thought that he was
like
obsessed with her.
indifferent.
Yeah. Like there's nothing that he
Yeah.
did that was like, I'm obsessed with you. Even the night where they danced together in college, that's just being horny.
Oh,
I thought that
yeah.
was very sweet. And the fact that he still remembered it, I thought
Sweet.
that was great. I did understand why that meant a lot to him. And the moment that he said, and then you were finally looking at me, I did mark that because I thought that was very romantic. But
Okay, can I ask you an honest question?
Yes.
Would you have liked this book more had you not read People Meet on Vacation first and already had negative connotations about Emily Henry going in?
No.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm. I think it read very similar, like to like the books like this, where it's just like, honestly, books like this, People Who Went on Vacation. It kind of read like Meet Me Under the Mistletoe to me.
Oh my God, that is like blasphemy to say that to me.
It all reads the same to me, and I don't know why.
No,
I just
I don't know
I
why
think it's
either.
like I said, I thought that the writing style was great, but there's just something about like a lack of interesting things actually happening. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, okay, we're working through our individual traumas.
You just wanted more tension between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I understand.
in to Lexi's point, he wasn't a bully. He was just aloof. He was just kind of dismissive, right? And that's not really enough for me. Because even then, like I was like, he's not your nemesis. He's just kind of a douche.
Yeah.
She said,
It's like
bro.
college rivals.
I knew
She
that was
said,
gonna make
Riley,
Lexi
she
mad.
doesn't get it.
I knew
Did
that
you
was
read
gonna make Lexi mad. And I was like, it's just like all the other stuff. And that's
She
okay.
doesn't get it.
That is
To
okay.
me, Emily Henry books are like cotton candy. They're sweet and you want to keep eating, and it's like, good, perfect. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need like for me, I know you like crazy ass shit in your books.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, when they fucked against the bookshelf, I was like, "Ooh, that's pretty crazy." When I first read this is like before we started the book club when I read this, so I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea
Yeah.
what I was gonna. Well, I didn't know what I
Right.
was going in for.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know we were gonna be reading Neon Gods and all this crazy shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for me, this was pretty wild when I first read it. So that's why it's still embedded in my brain as like, "Ooh, it's a
It
sexy
is.
little, fun little, cute book."
Yeah, which it is. It's fun, it's cute, but ultimately to me, it's just like not that memorable, right? Like it's just not to me. I'm just like, okay, okay, okay.
So to me,
I love them.
to
They're both
me,
so yeah. To me, personally,
to
me.
me, don't just me.
I did find the writing to be pretty witty. There were times where I
Yeah.
laughed. I did, and I like I said, I enjoyed the writing style. For me, it was really just like I either wanted them to
What if
be.
he had like choked her out? Would you like that?
I would have liked it, but it wouldn't have done that much for me when it comes to like their
Your
relationship.
face when I said that, your eyes like lit up.
I would have liked
You're
it.
like,
Yes, I would have liked it in a spicy
like,
sense, but like I said, like the aloofness was just like,
yeah, I get it. He
you
didn't
know,
play that hard to get. He was pretty much ready.
yeah, yeah, and
He's ready
it's
to
not
go.
that he was fine. I didn't dislike it. I think that you guys think that I disliked it. It just it won't I definitely won't read book lovers. Also, I want her characters to be something other than authors. I want this to branch out.
I think she's an author in Book Lovers too. I think
I
she
mean, it
is.
makes
I don't
sense.
remember for sure.
Aren't they
I haven't
authors
read
that
that
write
book in
to
a
each
while.
other? Isn't it kind of like a softer version of 7 Days in June? Like, aren't they authors that write to each other through their books?
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think so.
I want us to do something else.
Well, she has a new book coming out this month, so we'll see.
That will be so great for you and Lexi, and I will be so proud of you. I mean, I like a soft boy, so that's why I like him so much.
That is exactly what it is, Lexi. You hit the nail. You hit the
I don't like
what is
soft
it? You hit
boys.
the nail on the head, because Rajane hates soft boys.
She's an
Oh,
editor.
she's an editor. Okay,
Mm.
well, it's pretty close.
Yeah, no, I don't like soft boys.
Yeah, that's where we differ.
I'm not a big fan of a soft boy.
You went.
No.
Like Michael's a soft boy.
I don't, somewhere I read somewhere that that's what it was like, so I don't know why I think that.
I don't remember Book Lovers at all. I'm sorry. I just really read that book in a day, and I barely remember it.
Okay, Nora is an
You know
agent.
when you really get into like a book reading frenzy and you just read it all in a day, and then the next day you're like, I don't remember a single thing that I read.
Absolutely.
That's what I did.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's where that comes from, where she's written
Oh,
into a
that's where
book.
you're. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
that's what
No.
you're thinking of.
I listen. I get it. I get it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. But it
Yeah.
never really like. There were never parts where I cried. There were never parts where
I don't think I cried either.
There were definitely
I
parts
don't
where I was
the
like,
first
damn
time
it.
because I just did like a. I just did like a re-glance before the stream,
Stop.
like and
Stop.
like put
I
notes
am.
in here and stuff. Whoa,
Jeez,
whoa,
Kevin
whoa!
just came in here and shot me with a Nerf gun. Carry on. Carry on.
Oh my goodness! It's like we're in the dorms again. Remember we
know.
did Nerf gun fights?
I don't know what's wrong
I
with
don't
you.
remember what I was saying. Do you want to rate it?
I'll give it a 3 out of 5.
Okay, what do you want to give the spice?
1 out of 5. I mean, it happened. There was some there.
Progeny.
There was some there.
Progeny.
What do you what? What?
I thought it was good. You said, "What do you want?"
There was. It happened. It's fine.
It sure did. You know what is so annoying is now my camera quality is perfect on the stream and we're almost done. Like the whole time it was glitchy when I was watching it, and now it's perfect.
5 out of 5 stars.
Anyway,
Here's the thing.
I would do 5 out of 5 as well. Spice 3 out of 5.
Bitch, be fucking for real. Be fucking for real. Ain't no fucking way. Yeah, you better fucking look away from me. Ain't no fucking way you just said that shit to me. Anyway. Anywho. Moving on.
I've been looking at your Goodreads, by the way. You've been reading some psycho ass shit on your fucking Kindle.
Hell yeah.
Some of these covers, I'm like, is this a published book? Janae, how do you find these things?
I'm a dark romance girly. So that's what you get. And but that's where this all comes from, right? Like I'm a dark romance girly, and so like this might be just like a little too light for me. There may not.
I think that's exactly what it was.
No, Spices won't.
Yeah, I think that's maybe if they had like a torture room, then you would have liked it more.
Maybe if there had been a sex dungeon in the basement.
I understand.
Then I would have been all in. Yeah,
I understand.
I might be too far gone, and that's all right.
Okay, it's 6:30. Or whatever time it is for you. Our next book is American Queen. Just so everyone knows. And by everyone, I mean Lexi. She's the only one who's listening.
We're going to read this. And then I'm going to ask you to rate the spice of this book again. That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
And if you say 3 out of 5 again, I will leap through this camera and attack you.
Okay. That'd be fine, because I'd like to see you, actually.
Soon-ish.
I'd like to have a little visit.
I know, it's been so long. Anyway, I'm like a mix of both of you. Yes. And very different from both of us in some ways, too. I think that you two share more common likes in certain books than me and Lexi. Me and Lexi differ on a lot of books.
Lexi, okay. I did the read. I did the Storygraph read, everybody. I did it. I added my comments on it.
It wouldn't let me see your comments.
I know, but I wrote my comments.
I know, but it wouldn't.
You have to mark the book as finished.
But even when I did, so you saw mine. Okay, something weird going on with my Storygraph then, because even when I
marked it as finished, and then I went back and refreshed it, and then it showed me yours.
I did that too. Okay, so maybe I just have to delete it and re-download the app, because even when I was hitting points where there had been comments, it wasn't showing me those comments. It was like, you have to read to 1%, and I was like, I'm at 30. What do you mean?
I know. That's what mine said too. I was like, I marked it as finished.
Okay, so I'll go back in.
Thank you, Lexi. Thank you for being proud of me. We can do that for American Queen too.
Well, because I want to do the Storygraphs, because I think it would be fun to read some of our comments on here, but I can't ever see any of them.
Yeah.
This is the same issue that I
need
had
to fix it.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Okay, anyway, I have to go.
We need to get the hell out of here. RJ's so busy. It's crazy. She's so busy. It's crazy.
We literally have to get the hell out of here.
We have to get the hell
we just gotta go
out of here.
Anyway.
That's a Riverdale Jughead.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord, help us all.
They always go, you need to do it the hell now. Right the hell now. I'm like, why is that how you guys are swearing on this fucking show?
Maybe you had a different edition. I don't know. I think I'm going to just delete the app and redownload. I don't know what's going on. So we'll figure it out. Yeah. Anyway. Next book is whatever Riley just said, American Queen. And
American Queen.
Yeah. Stay smutty. I'm out of here.
Love you. Bye.
I'm going to bed. How do I end this? I totally forgot how to end it.
I don't know.
Okay, bye.